All right. Hello, everyone. I'm doing a live from the car today. We're having a snow day here in North Carolina. I'm from Michigan, so it's just a little bit of snow, but it's pretty. As you log on, let me know where you are watching from, and let me know if you can hear me. Sometimes my Bluetooth in my car takes this over. Perfect. Here we go. So awesome. Before we get started, I wanted to share a story with you guys. Hello, Mark. Hello. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm using my, I'm in my car, so I'm not sure if my Bluetooth is taking the volume or not. But anyways, I wanted to share a story. Who here does strength training? So I've been focusing on this more in the last year. And today I put on, 2.5 more pounds on my deadlift. Not deadlift. 2.5 more pounds on my bench press. And at first I was like, oh, that's a lot of weight. And my mind was being kind of negative. It's like, that's going to be hard. It's going to be heavy. And it reminded me of when I started my journey of stopping drinking, how important it is to be conscious of the language that you're using. Hey, Angelina, can you hear me okay? I'm in my car and I'm not sure if the audio is coming through. It looks like it is. Hi, Chris. Hello, everyone. So, back to my story. When I was lifting more weight, at first, my thoughts were very negative, saying like, it's going to be hard, like, oh, I don't want to do this. But then I realized something that was really important to my journey to stopping drinking. It's being conscious of the thoughts that you have and if those are supportive of the journey that you're on or not. So who here has ever done something outside your comfort zone? Let's say start a business or maybe stop drinking. In those moments of making those changes, were you ever like, oh, I'm nervous. This might be hard. What if I fail? And those negative thoughts, what they can do is almost become our destiny, right? We can make it so we fulfill what those thoughts are saying. So let's use a dating example. Who here has had some fun dating experience? I met my husband in college, so I didn't do much like proper dating, I would say. But I like to use this example because if you go out on a date and in your mind you're saying like, oh, this is not going to go well. Like this is going to be a waste of time. So if those are the thoughts in your head, if they're kind of negative, when you show up at that date, you're probably not going to show up as your best self. You probably won't be open to where the conversation or the relationship could go. And then you'll be blocking opportunities that might be there for you. So then after the date, you'll be feeling like, oh, that wasn't great. So then you'll still have those same negative thoughts like, oh, dating sucks. This is never going to work. And you continue to take action in a way that reinforces those beliefs. So, oh, I said my cousin? That's funny. I met my husband. Hilarious. I just got out of the gym, and sometimes after working out, my mind's a little scattered. So thank you for that correction, man. So when you are... Do you have plenty of... Okay, that's kind of weird. So when it goes to making any change in your life, it's really important that you're using language that reinforces that change you want to make. So let's use the working out example. And I know this is about stopping drinking, but I think this is a good example. When I added that extra 2.5 pounds on my bench press, which is extra 5 pounds, which is a lot for that, I thought, okay, I can do this. This is easy. And I do five reps in 3 sets of that. So 3 reps of 5 sets. And when I was doing that, like the first one, I'm like, okay, this is easy. I got this. And at the third one, I'm like, I'm almost done. So I was saying language that helped me to move past that resistance. Because anytime you do something that's maybe more weight, and when you're working out, maybe it's starting a new business, maybe it's stopping drinking, anything that's outside of your comfort zone is going to feel hard. It's going to feel different. It's going to feel uncomfortable because that's something new. Pot Gallery. I'm going to come back to that real quick. You said I followed you for a part of 1.5 years. Awesome. And finally caved and began drinking again. So what was it, that tipping point that made you go back to drinking? Let me know. We can have some conversations about that. But anytime you're trying to make a change, it's about using language that reinforces what you want to create. no matter what you do, if you make any type of change, it's going to be uncomfortable. Okay, this is a good example. So Potts Gallery said a big change caused him to drink after not drinking for, I think, a year and a half. This is really common. I just signed a client who he's been sober for 10 months, and there's been a lot of stress at work. And because there's been so much stress and he didn't know any other way to cope, he ended up drinking again. So with this big change, hi Kaylee. So with this big change that's happening in your life, Potts Gallery, that's your name on here, why do you feel like it triggered you to drink? So it's important to look at what unmet need that you have and how you're using drinking to fill some type of void. So what I normally see is when people go back to drinking after a period of not drinking, it's normally because they don't know any other way to cope. So does this resonate? And if anyone's listening can resonate, let me know. So Kaylee, I'm from Michigan, but I live in North Carolina. So if this is something you can resonate with, using alcohol to cope, to relieve stress, maybe it's to quiet that voice in your head that says you're not happy or dissatisfied, or maybe it's hardships that you have in life and you don't know any other way to deal with it. Okay, so it was money constraints. Okay, so are we talking sobriety? We are talking sobriety. So, okay, you mentioned that the stress of money and the pressure to make more money was what was causing you to drink again. So if that was something you're on the road when I craved. Okay, so being on the road, whenever you're in an environment that is different than an environment that you're normally in, like a normal routine, anytime you have that where it's the environment is uncertain, it can be easier or more likely for you to maybe cave on a good habit because you don't have that structure that you normally have. So I'll use my life for example, and let's look at journaling. And I like to use examples that are not about alcohol because I think it can help you to relate to it. Because drinking, there can just be a lot of weird shame and pressure around being sober, and I want to take that away for you guys. Thank you, Clark. So when I'm at home, every morning, my morning routine is rock solid. I wake up, I meditate for 20 minutes, I do my 5-minute journal, then I do freehand journaling. Then I go downstairs and have breakfast with my husband. Every day at home, it's super easy to do it because it's practiced. When I'm on the road, even if it's just for a weekend, it feels like there's so much resistance to doing that habit because I'm in a new environment. There's new stimuli, there's things going on, so there's a lot of distractions. And I notice in those days when I don't have my morning routine, I notice that my mindset isn't as good. I notice that my thoughts might be more negative. I might get upset over stupid things I normally wouldn't. I get triggered by social media. So when I don't have that habit or that comfort of my home, I notice that some of my habits slip. So let me know if that resonates with you guys. New comments are coming in. So, Northern Wisconsin furnace. Yay! 49 days sober. Welcome. Zero desires to go back. I love it. I've been sober for almost 4 years, and it's interesting. I was at a networking event yesterday, and I was telling them, I'm like, the work I do, like 10% of it with my clients is stopping drinking. 90% of what we focus on is healthier ways to cope and manage stress. And that's what's so important, because when you remove alcohol, you see what it is that's lacking in your life. You see the things that need attention. Maybe you want to make some changes in your career. Maybe there's some things that need to happen in your relationship. Maybe you want to prioritize your health. Removing alcohol is essentially a distraction that's keeping you from prioritizing those other things that will help make your life better. And once you have that freedom and more time and energy, you're able to focus on things that actually make a difference. And once you get the freedom from alcohol, it's like there's no need to go back. You have the happiness. The happiness I thought alcohol could give me, I only got it once I stopped drinking. The confidence I thought alcohol provided, I was only able to create once I removed drinking. The adventure I wanted in my life, I was only able to experience once I stopped drinking. So it's interesting how alcohol has all these empty promises, but what you're actually looking for is available for you on the other side. And it's important to look at the messages that our society feeds us. And a lot of this has to do with marketing, big alcohol. Their advertising budget is huge. Think about what messages you believe to be true about alcohol and what it can bring to your life. And is that actually true? Is that what you experience? Like in my life, so when I was a social drinker, and my drinking habit was mainly social, like going out on the weekends with friends. And I thought it was to have fun, and it was at first. But I was unsatisfied with my career. I was doing everything that I thought would make me happy, but I wasn't happy. So drinking became a way to cope with feeling dissatisfied. It was a way to relieve stress and anxiety and to quiet those voices that said, this is not what you want. So what I thought drinking was fun, but it was actually for me to cope, right? And the life that I pictured having, that was not what alcohol could give me. Only I can make that for myself. And I could only do that once I removed alcohol. So it's interesting when you think about what booze can give you. You can even do a journaling prompt and say like what I gained from booze, and write down all the good things it brings into your life, then challenge that. Like, is that actually true? Do I actually feel more confident? No. But what it does is it limits your inhibition. So maybe you might do things that you normally wouldn't, but that's not more confident. It's just taking more risks. And when you're in that type of states, more risks like that is not necessarily a good thing. So just something to think about. Okay. Ooh, messages are coming in. How often do I do lives? I'm trying to get more consistent. So just being totally transparent. I'm trying to figure out my marketing. I used to do everything on TikTok, but because the TikTok shut down, we're not sure what's happening with the app. I'm trying to do more on LinkedIn and Instagram as well. So if you guys like my content, make sure you follow me on Instagram. But I try to do them about 2 times a week, if not more. Don't miss alcohol. Yeah, don't miss alcohol. Sleep better, feel better, everything better. Awesome. So Jay, talk about reading the big book. So I did not do AA. AA is great for so many people, but I didn't want to do it. And for me, it was never an environment that felt inspiring. And anytime I've created any type of change in my life, I'll use starting my business as an example. I worked with people and found mentors who had the success that I wanted and in a way that was enjoyable for me. So when I stopped drinking, I didn't want to be in a room of people who maybe were talking about things that were very negative. And yes, it is helpful for a lot of people, but that did not feel supportive for me. And I knew once I committed to stop drinking, that was all I needed. And it was easy. When I decided to stop drinking, I was working with a mentor. She was actually a business coach. And she was like, do you think your weekend habit of drinking is keeping you from the success and relationships you want? I was like, yeah, I do. So I committed to 6 months of not drinking, and I saw how incredible the results were. So me experiencing that was all the proof that I needed to make this change in my life. I didn't need to sit through meetings or consistently talk about it, because me living my life was the inspiration that I needed to be like, yeah, I want to do this. Okay. Any tips for getting started? Just can't seem to get past 4 days. So in Nova, what do you feel like is stopping you from getting past those 4 days? When you go to stopping drinking, about 10% of the process is removing alcohol, but 90% is the inner work. And when I say inner work, it's looking at healthier ways to cope, tools to process your emotions. And there's also a lot of work you have to do about reprogramming your beliefs and feeling comfortable being in our society sober. And when you look at all the pressure there is to drink in our society and all the pro-alcohol messages, that impacts you. Let's say you get home from a long day of work and you're stressed. You don't know any other way to relieve the pressure, so you grab a drink. Or let's say you go out for friends and you feel uncomfortable being sober around them drinking, so you drink. So there's a lot of different things you have to look at, and this is what I support my clients with. And it's seeing what benefit is alcohol bringing into your life, or why do you feel like you need it, and how can you do work around that? So let me know exactly what the thing is that's stopping you from getting past those 4 days, and then I could maybe offer some more guidance. I'm so glad you said that. Okay, so Claudine said, I'm so glad you said that. I did not like AA at all. It did not work for me. Yeah, so if it's not for you, it's not for you. That's just it. And I actually got asked this yesterday at a networking event for entrepreneurs. Someone asked me how I see the alcohol-free space changing. And I've been almost 4 years in March, alcohol-free. In our society in general, there is more acceptance for choosing to stop drinking for health and wellness reasons. And I believe this is a recent trend. And a big part of that is more and more people are becoming aware of the fact that drinking has absolutely no health benefit. Not even 1 glass a day is good for you. There's negative consequences for 1 glass a day. And when you think about like the things that used to be popular, smoking is an example. Everyone used to smoke, and now we're like, oh God, like that's disgusting. I believe, this is a bold statement, but I believe drinking is on that trajectory. I believe people are starting to wake up to how it's not good for you, and people are choosing to stop because of the health and wellness benefits and mental benefits that it brings. And because of that, I think there's a lot more people who are choosing to stop, and AA is just not supportive of that. For a year, and after that, it felt more cult-like. Yeah. So AA felt cult-like. Okay, I can see that. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Learn to live a new way. Okay, so you are so right. That's why I chose to stop. You're so spot on. Yeah. And it's really exciting to see that so many people are choosing a healthier way to live, right? And something for, hold on. A screen popped up. Can you guys see me? I think you can. Sure it is. Okay, how to stop drinking. So how to stop drinking? That's a loaded question. When it comes to like any change in your life, and this includes stopping drinking, where a lot of people go wrong is they don't look at 1, 5, 10 years down the road. When people think about stopping drinking, 1 day at a time is the, I don't know if you call that memo, encouragement, the mantra I hear a lot of people say. And if that's something you need to focus on, then do that. But that keeps you very short-sighted. It focuses on just not drinking. But it's important to look at, okay, what is this bringing into your life? Who here has read Atomic Habits? I think the author is James Clear. Yeah, that sounds right. He talks about to create a new habit, it's about moving away, focusing on moving away something that was non-beneficial or moving towards something that is good. So when you stop drinking, you could think of both of those ways. You could think of moving away from the hangovers, the guilt, the anxiety, the feeling unconfident, the lacking ambition, missing out on success, on money, wasted money. You could think of that. But for me, that just feels negative because it kind of is. But there are some moments where I do need that reminder. But what I like doing is focusing on where I want to be instead. It's focusing on how I want to feel confident, the business I want to create, the life I want to have, how I want to feel in my relationships. And doing that allows me to bring more of that into my life, because manifestation is, thank you, Bailey. Manifestation is what you focus on expands. So when you stop drinking, when you focus on feeling healthy, being healthy, building muscle, having better relationships, starting a profitable business, traveling the world, when you focus on those things, it's not about stopping drinking. It's about what you want to create in your life. And for me, that has really been my approach, because that's what I want. Like, I stopped drinking because I wanted more success. I wanted better relationships. And that's what I was able to get from doing that. So you have to remove the roadblocks that are keeping you from where you want to go. But as long as you keep your vision on where that end destination is, it helps you stay motivated and on the right path. So Bailey, I hope I'm saying this correctly. Bailey said, I do believe that some medical people believe one red wine a day would actually be good for you. There was a study that came out, and I cannot remember his name. I saw this on Instagram. He's a medical doctor. He said how that study has been debunked. And if you're looking at the benefits of it, you can just have grape juice and you'll get those benefits without taking in alcohol, which is a toxin for your body. I'm trying to think of what the study was. If you Google it, I think it will come up. But even stuff like that, we're starting to get more evidence and studies that are reinforcing that those things that we used to believe, they're not actually true. Oh, Potts, I'm so happy to hear that. Okay, back people did drink wine. Huh. Okay, Potts. Perfect, Pot. I'll look for your message early on in my... Okay. Yeah, so Claudine, it's just a marketing trick. That's what I believe. Wine, Sally, that's what gets people. It's in the marketing. Yeah. So when you look at studies, you have to look at the angle that they're trying to sell, right? Like, who wants you to believe something? And normally that evidence that they're bringing in supports that claim. So if someone is selling, let's use just a random example. If someone is selling, I can't even think of one right now. I can't think of an example. Anyways, so the wine one, big alcohol will say, yeah, 1 glass of wine is good. Buy this alcohol. A marketer could say, yeah, being on, having this camera will change your business. Buy this camera. So people will talk about evidence that supports what they're trying to sell. And sometimes it's lazy, but sometimes it is true. But you have to look at the evidence and see, is that actually true? And most times when it comes to alcohol, even if there is some tiny, tiny benefit, you can get it a different way without putting that toxin in your body. And something else that's interesting, let me know if you guys saw this video. A medical doctor was talking about how when it comes to digestion, if you have a glass of wine, your body has to process on releasing that chemical before you can work on digesting your other food. So a lot of people, they feel bloated, they don't feel good when they drink because their body is not able to properly digest their food because it's working on ridding the toxin from your body. So it's looking at all these different angles and saying, okay, is alcohol supporting my best life? And something I want to say that made a huge difference in my journey was knowing that you don't have to be an alcoholic for drinking to get in the way of your best life. And I think that's a really important point to make because so many of us think that we have to hit rock bottom or we have to get a DUI or our life has to go down the shitter to stop drinking, but that's not true. If you know that drinking maybe 2 times a week or maybe 1 glass a night, if you know that's stopping you from the happiness, the health, the wealth, the creativity, if it's stopping you from having your goals, that's a good enough reason to stop. And that's what it was for me. And if you're not ready to go completely sober, then don't. I recommend starting with 3 or 6 months removing alcohol. And it does have to be at least 3 months because you need that time to create new habits, rewire your stress response, find new ways of showing up, explore new things that you might like doing, and actually give yourself a chance to see what life can be like sober. Because when you say I'm going to be sober forever, that creates a lot of fear. And I don't want you to be in that position. Start with 3 or 6 months. And then when you have that time frame under your belt, let's say you do 3 months, and you're like, oh, that was kind of nice. I feel better, right? I'm more productive. I have more ideas. I'm working out more. Once you start to see the benefits, you'll be like, oh, this is actually working. I call it flirting or dating with being alcohol free. You try it out, you see how it goes, and then you decide how you want to move forward. And having that conscious choice, I think, is so important because this journey should never be one where you have to white knuckle it. Now, if your drinking is more severe, that is something that is important that you do prioritize. But for many people, it's an emotional and social crutch. So when you remove it, you're able to see what life can be like without it. And then it gives you a chance to see oh, is this something I actually want to do? Maybe I want to be alcohol free for long term, or maybe even reduce my drinking. It's knowing that You have the choice to see what's best for you, but also giving yourself the chance to see what that can actually look like. Okay, so I agree. I didn't drink much, but it was not good for me. Nope, I was the same way. It's crazy, even just how like one drink can mess up your sleep and stuff like that. It gets ya. Faceless, I don't know how do I start? So, how do you start stopping drinking? What's the first step to take to stop drinking? For me, anytime I start a journey I'm really serious about, I find a mentor. And I know by working with someone who's seen the results that I want, they're able to help me overcome roadblocks and get to the result I want faster. So that's what I did. And that's why I am a mentor to others who are stopping drinking. But it's really important when you stop drinking to have that support in one way or another. It can be a mentor. It can be books, podcasts, could be social channels. And when you do that, when you have that support, it's looking at picking a time frame that feels good for you. And you have to have some type of commitment, because if you don't, the initial motivation that you have will wear off and you won't be able to follow through on that change. Because let's say you're 3 days in and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to drink. But then you're really stressed and you're like, F this, I'm having a glass of wine. That happens. Life happens. So if you want to do like I'd recommend starting with 3 months of no alcohol and committing to that. Maybe you'll have a trial, maybe you'll drink, and that's okay. But it's knowing in that 3 months, you're going to do the best that you can to not drink. Also in that time, what you need to do is step 1, pick a time frame. Step 2, figure out the benefits you were receiving from drinking. And this is what I help my clients with. We nail into the societal influences, how to reprogram those thoughts, and also healthier ways to cope. What I see for a lot of my clients who are high achievers and mainly men, they are so stressed. There's so much pressure that they have so many responsibilities that they have to take care of. Their nervous system is activated and they don't know any other way to cope. So I help them with healthier ways to cope and relieve stress. So figuring out how to do that is so important, because drinking, even though it doesn't actually give you the benefit you want, many people use to cope, right? And when you remove that vice, you need something in its place, but you want something that's healthy. I see a lot of people who, they stop drinking, but then they go to overworking. They go to binging social media or TV. That's not any better, right? You're still numbing and avoiding your emotions because you don't know how to process them. So you have to be able to gain the tools, and this is what I help my clients with. You gain the tools that help you down-regulate your nervous system so you can actually feel relaxed, calm, happy, and feel good. So let me know if that helps. Again, stop drinking, pick a time frame, 3 months to remove it, learn healthy stress relief techniques, and reprogram your thoughts about why you're drinking in the first place and what you want to experience instead. Okay, all these comments are coming in. Here we go. Does replacing alcohol with substitute like soda help people get sober? So if you have a substitute, you can do it for like a habit thing. Like if you like to have a glass of wine, you can have like a soda or a tea. But you have to make sure you're actually addressing the root cause. If drinking, again, was used to cope, a soda is not going to replace that, right? You have to be able to figure out why that habit was beneficial for you in the first place. Maybe it's just routine, and that can be beneficial to have a healthy routine because we like consistency, right? We like that comfort. But if you find that you need a way to cope, it's got to be more than just soda. It's got to be some tool that can help you. Okay. I tried so many things for me. It was Craig Beck. I don't know who Craig Beck is. Claudine, I'm happy you brought this up. I have a book on Amazon. It's called 100 Proof with Nicole Prentice. Everything we're talking about here, I go deeper on. Okay, so Claudine said a book helped her, or she thought she needed to go to a therapist. So I've had some clients, this is my hot take on this. If you're working with a therapist who has not gone on the journey, there's a gap there, because there is so much that you go through, and even just like the first 90 days drinking, if you're working with someone who can't relate, there's a lot missing. Yes, you have to have the certifications and qualifications, but I think it's really important to find someone who can understand the journey, because they're able to share insights with you that only someone will understand if they've been on it. And because they've been on that journey, they can help you get through the gap. So just my thought on that. This also was brought up. I was at a networking event and I met a lot of good people. And this woman, she was a business coach. She talked to me about what she was doing, and she's newer in her business. And I know everyone has to start somewhere, but she was coaching people mainly on a certification. And I have a problem with that, because yes, you need certifications and you need skills. Yes. But if you're teaching someone to create some type of change in your life, I believe you first have to create that change in your life. Because until you do that, you don't actually know the journey. The textbook example is not always what happens, right? And being able to relate to someone from a place of vulnerability and truth and knowledge of the journey helps so much. And that's something my clients really resonate with. Like, we talk about, a big part of the journey is healing. Like, there's a lot of things that I've gone through that have caused shame and regret when I'm drinking. My clients have resonated with that, and we're able to share that truth and help each other, or I help them heal through that and release that. And only someone who has gone through that can understand in a way that can make you feel seen and heard and get through it. So I know that was kind of a long answer to that, but when you are looking to make a change, if you do go to someone just for a specific skill, also make sure that you do have influence from someone who has been on the journey to help fill that gap. Mia Pie, during dry January, overate. So that's something I also see. Like I've been mentioning throughout this, when you remove alcohol, other people fill in other vices, and overeating is one of them. So Mia Pie, if you're still not drinking, it's important to look at what comfort now food is bringing into your life, and figuring out what it is you're actually craving. Because there's a root cause, right? The root cause is something in your body, let's say stress. You're feeling really stressed, your nervous system is activated, and to help to cope with that, you're overeating, right? But instead of using that vice, it's important to look at how can you work with your nervous system and move it to a place of regulation to feel calm, relaxed, and happy in healthy ways, so you're no longer relying on these vices. Just something to think about. Gym is the number one way. Yep, just got back from, actually, I'm in the parking lot of my gym. This car just drove by and they're like, what is she doing? Okay, Claudia can resonate with my comment about the therapist. Yep. I feel like I've tried for years, and it wasn't until 2 months ago that I felt I was ready. Oh, awesome. So Claudine, and anyone else who can resonate, you have to do it when it feels right. You'll know when you're ready to make some change in your life. Like, this goes with stopping drinking, starting a business, starting a relationship, or ending a relationship. Anytime you make some type of change, you'll feel when the moment's right. But it's really important that you don't let procrastination get in the way, or fear get in the way. Like, trust your gut, trust your inner knowing. And the best way to like have that clarity of when it's actually the right time for you is to gain practices of quieting the external noise and actually listening to your intuition or your inner knowing. And I see a lot of people get stuck because they're always distracted, right? There's so much freaking noise all around us. TikTok is an example. A lot of benefits from TikTok, but also a lot of negatives. TV, music, phone calls, work. There are so many things in a day, so much information that we take in, that if we don't give ourselves the time, there are so many things in a day, so much information that we take in, that if we don't give ourselves the time to actually, if we don't take the time to actually be still and to let ourselves think, we won't actually know what is best for us. So if there's something in your life that doesn't feel right, normally when you need to make a change, there's a lot of friction in your life. Maybe something at your job just doesn't feel right. Maybe that you keep having the same argument with a friend. Maybe you keep feeling unhappy about something. These are all signs that there's something in your life that needs to change. And we'll keep getting these signs that something needs to change. It'll keep showing up as friction until we answer it. And my stopping drinking journey was kind of like that. For a while, I knew like, oh, this is not helping my life. It's not improving my life. I tried moderation for some time, and I'm like, that doesn't really work. I took breaks, and that was easy. But when I went back to drinking, I fell back into non-beneficial patterns. And it came to like a hit where I remember I was in the doctor's office and I'm like, I'm healthy. I work out. I eat well. I sleep probably 8 hours a night. Like, why do I feel so depressed and down? And I didn't use the word depressed, but I said, I just feel not like myself. And he said, you have depression. I always thought of myself as someone who's happy because I am a happy person. But there were 2 years, and it was the 2 years after graduation where I was just so unhappy. Like, I was in a great career path. I was doing everything like my parents wanted me to do. I was successful, but that's not what I wanted. And that discontent with my life turned into drinking to cope. So the big wake-up call was, oh, you had depression. I was like, what? How did that happen? When you get signs that something needs to change, if you don't listen to them, you'll continue to get those signs, and they will become louder and louder and louder until you are forced to acknowledge it. But we don't want that to happen. We don't want it to go on for too long or these signs to get too extreme. When you're able to actually just slow down and take the time every day just to hear your thoughts, just to understand what you need in your life, what's going well, what's not going well, and what changes you want to make, when you do that, you're able to course correct or pivot earlier rather than later, which can help you to feel better and actually do the things that you need to do. And change is always going to be uncomfortable, but staying stuck in something that doesn't feel good is uncomfortable. Waking up hungover and maybe having regret or shame, that's uncomfortable. Feeling uncertain of your relationships, that sucks. Having the lack of motivations and feeling unfulfilled in your career, that is awful. So when you're stuck in a place, even though the comfort is there because it's something that's practiced, it can be so uncomfortable because it's not what you want anymore. And when you trust yourself to take that change and to do something different, that will allow you to experience something new. And until you put yourself out there and do something different, embrace the change, until you do that, you won't experience the new results that you want. So trust yourself. When you know something has got to change, when you feel a lot of resistance, do something different to experience a different result. And until you do that, nothing will change. Okay, so I hope you guys like that little rant. Claudine said, do you think you also have to be at a certain point and ready in your own mind? Yes. And I do believe that your external environment has to support the change. But that has to be of your making as well. Like when I stopped drinking, I wasn't going to the bars on the weekend. And it was kind of the perfect storm because it was COVID, so nothing was open. But going to the bars on the weekend would not have supported that change. I was working with an incredible mentor. I was reading sober books. So I created an environment that was supportive of that decision. And then that helped encourage me to keep going. So you have to choose. You have to know, like, draw a line in the sand. This is it. And you're not going to know until you make a decision. I am starting, so I have this main business online, but I'm also starting a local business here in Charlotte. And for about 2 months now, I remember having a conversation with my mother-in-law at Christmas. We were talking over brand names and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I want to start doing local breath work and doing speaking events. I want to start doing this. And we came up with a brand name I love. It's amazing. But I sat in it for like 2 months. And then today I was like, screw it, I'm doing it. So I registered the domain name. I made a new Instagram account for it. You have to take some type of action to start to create this new reality. And only once you take the action will you see if that's the right path for you. Because the truth is, you don't know what is best for you until you go on the journey yourself. You might see results of what other people have created from maybe a similar journey, But the truth is, your result's gonna be unique to you. Like stopping drinking, you might see what other people have experienced. Maybe your journey's similar, but maybe there's some things that are different. Most certainly there will be some things that are different because you are a unique individual with unique experiences. So you have to take some type of action in anything that you do in order to get the feedback about what's the best way to move forward. We're never going to have the whole plan figured out, but you will know one or two steps that you can take. So for the business example, I knew like, okay, I have my domain name. I have Instagram set up. Cool. I'm going to reach out to local organizations. Boom. That's my next step. So you do what you know is next. You can reach out for support if you need to, but the steps will unfold as you move forward. And once you take that action, you'll see if that's actually something that's good for you or the right path. And if it's not, you can course correct. So yeah. Oh, that's awesome, Claudine. Congrats on being ready. Heather, 4 years sober this March. Yay! Okay, Heather, what is your sober day? I'm 4 years in March. Cool. I think mine's like March 13th. I had to go back through my old Instagram and find a picture of when I was at brunch with my girlfriends the last day I drank. I remember it was a disgusting, it was a Bloody Mary. I was sober for a month, and then I went out with them, and I thought, I haven't told them I stopped yet because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it myself. So they were sitting there. I was like, I have to get something or else they'll know something's up. So I hate Bloody Marys. It's like tomato juice. I find it gross. So I had like half of a drink of Bloody Mary, and I'm like, oh, I'm done. After then I told them and stuff like that. But I went back to that picture because if I didn't look back, I wouldn't know. Because honestly, now that I've stopped drinking, it's just no longer a part of my identity. And it is still something I celebrate. So I'm happy I wrote down the date. And I think you should celebrate it because it is a big milestone. And it's important that you do acknowledge this. But when you have this life that you love, drinking is no longer a focal point, which is awesome. Oops. Here we go. Okay. So if you can drink 10 beers without feeling it, that is something you should get support with. Just my honest opinion. Your tolerance, of course, adjusts to how much you are drinking, but that amount could be seriously dangerous for your body. Oh, perfect, Heather. Perfect. You found the mix that worked for you. Hey, Bach. Hello. So with anything, it's important that you find what works best for you. For me, like I mentioned, I work with a coach. I went deep into alternative therapies again with a coach. This is now what I help clients with. And I supported myself with not an in-person community, but like a virtual community like TikToks and Instagram and books and podcasts that supported it. And I read a lot of quit drinking books right in the beginning, but after that, I'm like, I'm sold. Like, I agree. It's a great change. And since then, I really haven't been reading many quit drinking books. I've been writing them though, so that's a good change. Okay. Bonk, let me know if you're still alive. Been on and off for a year and a half, been sober almost a month again, Cancun 1. So there is this, I think it's a harmful more than helpful, the fall off the wagon terminology. Let me know if you guys can resonate or have heard that. Essentially, fall off the wagon is when you're sober for a time and then you drink. You fell off the wagon. That's what they call it. There is no journey that you will go on where you won't misstep. Think about starting a business. When you start a business, you're going to fail so many times. You're going to run into challenges. You're going to run into trials. You're going to have a hard day. And the same goes with stopping drinking. The trials might look different. But one of the trials that people experience is having a drink when they want to be sober. And that's okay. You are human. Life happens. Shit happens. Life is crazy right now. I just saw in the gym that plane that flipped over. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with planes recently, which is making me kind of anxious because I like to travel. Life happens, right? And on any journey that you go on, you will experience trials. What is more so important is when you have a trial, so trial could be drinking when you said you didn't want to, you have to ask yourself, like, okay, what happened here? What triggered me? Maybe what benefit was I looking for? Did I like drinking? What can I do next time? And allow that feedback to help you get stronger, more clarity, do some healing so you can move forward. Christiane, thanks. Fantastic. That was advice. Needed to hear it. Good. I'm so happy that helps. Sorry. So yeah, Claudine, love the comment, course correct. Yeah, because that's what it is. It's you getting that feedback you need to move forward, and you need to have that feedback to have long-term success. When I shared this just a little bit ago, when I was sober for a month, and this is when I committed to 6 months of not drinking, sober for a month, went out with my girlfriends. We're at a yoga event and they had free alcohol, which I'm like, how does the health and wellness space mix with drinking? It doesn't. Why do we put together? But anyways, I had that drink because I felt uncomfortable socializing sober. So that moment was such an aha moment for me, because I realized that I felt so much pressure to belong, to fit, and drinking was a tool I used to do that. So after that, I did some journaling around that. I talked to my coach about it, and I practiced showing up and being comfortable in situations sober. And I had to learn to gain that confidence without a drink. And I had to realize that belonging doesn't come from what's in your glass, which is such BS. Like, why is it a liquid that you drink is what makes you belong? We have to be deeper as a society than that, right? So once I started to understand why I felt that way, and also realizing the herd mentality, we are cavemen and cavewomen to our souls. We still had that deep desire to belong, because if we don't, we might be rejected. That might mean fewer reproduction opportunities. That might mean death at the worst case. We still have those fears within us, even though we've come a really long way. And for me, not drinking felt like rejection. It felt like I wouldn't belong. People wouldn't want to be friends with me. And I had to do a lot of work around that and reprogramming. And now I am so thankful that I had that trial, because I'm more confident. I know that alcohol and the liquid's not what makes you belong. It's about who you are and finding relationships based on shared values. I would never have had those insights if I didn't have that situation. So when you're able to take that situation as feedback and learn from it, grow from it, it can help sustain the path. It can help you create that long-term results. I'm almost 4 years sober. I have absolutely no desire to drink. I go out dancing with my friends and I have so much fun. And I don't need booze. So allow yourself to take those experiences, take the pressure off of them. It happens, right? But ask yourself, okay, how can I grow from this? What do I need to move forward? Oh, we're going to get a lot of comments. Here we go. If you guys have ever done a live, it says 14 new comments and then it explodes. Bonk is still there. All right, Bonk, let me know if this resonates. What if you can stop drinking but don't feel the need to stop drinking? I guess that's up to you. Every person. I've had, and this was really heartbreaking, I've had a mom reach out to me. It was a mom of a friend who, her son was having a really hard time with drinking, and she was noticing patterns that were unhealthy. And she asked me what she could do to support him. It has to be the person's choice to make the decision, right? They're the only person who can make that change in their life. But if this has ever happened to someone else, if you've noticed this in someone, letting them know that you're there for them, having things to do that don't revolve around drinking, and just creating more space for open and honest conversations can really help. But yeah, you have to decide to do anything that you want to change. If you want to start working out more, you have to decide to do that. Your parents or your friends or society might pressure you to do it, but until you commit to doing it, you won't take the steps that are necessary or follow through on what needs to be done to see the results. Okay. Yeah, so the killer is behind you. That's a creepy name. I hope no one's behind me. I remind myself that I hate alcohol and it tastes so disgusting until my brain believed it. Yeah. The book, I think it's Quit Drinking the Easy Way, Alan Carr. Didn't love the book. It was really repetitive, but it was just like that. It was being like, you don't need alcohol. Alcohol sucks. Alcohol is bad. If you repeat that enough, you'll start to believe it. Okay, Ricky Rich said, I have to play out the situation. I always end back at it isn't worth it. Yeah, so that's a technique. I think it's called play it forward. Like, play out the situation, and that can give you clarity of like, yeah, this is not the road I want to go on. And I love that you're using that. Anything that helps you to reaffirm a positive path is something you should do. I do this for business as well. Like, sometimes, not gonna lie, sometimes before I go live, I'm like, I don't want to do it. What if I have nothing to say? What if there's mean comments? But I remind myself, like, I play it forward, and I love showing up here. I love having this community. I love being a voice that people can turn to help make this change, because I know when I was on my journey, I felt lost. And I didn't know any other people who were like me who are stopping drinking. So I want to show people that, like, I see you or hear you, and life can be so much better when you stop. But playing it forward can always help to see maybe stopping you from doing something or helping encourage you to do something. Can work both ways. Bonk said, I play it forward and think about feeling warm, then I pass. Yep, that's a good one. Bonk said, I was with friends last night and was the only one not drinking. Did feel a smidge left out. So when you are in a group where, let's say, before you stop drinking, you were used to participating in the drinking festivities, it's really normal to feel left out, because essentially you're removing something that you used to do with those people, and you've essentially broken a pattern. I'm not saying this is happening, but it's also can be kind of triggering if those people are like, oh, come on, just have a drink. Why can't you just have one? When are you going to drink again? I'm assuming your friends are good people, and I know they are. So that might not be the case at all. But if you feel like you're left out because you're not drinking, the first thing I encourage you to do is just acknowledge that belief. The first thing I encourage you to do is just acknowledge that belief. Acknowledge remaining. Gotta wrap this up soon. Acknowledge that belief is there because you want to fit in. You want to feel like you belong, and drinking was something you used to use as a tool to do that. Second thing you need to do is realize, okay, what actually makes you belong with these friends? And when you remove alcohol, there has to be a shared interest there. There has to be a shared value. If not, you're not going to enjoy your time with those friends anymore. And maybe you find that's true. So you go find new friends and try new things that you enjoy. Or maybe you realize, oh, we actually have similar interests, right? We have the same values. And you focus on building your relationships on those characteristics and those values, on who the people actually are, not just a liquid in their glass. And when you do that, when you actually focus on the people, that's what belonging is all about. But it does take skill and some reminding yourself. I always, when I'm even with my parents and people I've known forever since birth or new people, I focus on learning 3 new things about the people I'm with. And think about people you've known forever. I'm going to use my parents for an example. I've asked them about their experiences in college and high school. I've never asked them that before in my life. So when you have more space, more energy, more genuine curiosity to get to know the people that you are with, use that to start conversations to get to know them. And that's what belonging is all about. Bonk, let me know if that helped. Cheryl, I'm happy you're saying this. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this so I can do a post about this, because I've heard this many times. Cheryl said, I feel like a failure not being able to drink, which is silly knowing alcohol ruins everything. I had a client the other day say how he feels like he's letting his friends down because they're all drinking and he's not. This is very similar to what you're saying. Alcohol, there is no healthy amount of alcohol. And it can make us feel like we are the problem if we can't have a healthy relationship. But the truth is, alcohol was not designed to have a healthy relationship with. It's a poison. And when you think of it that way, having a healthy relationship with a poison is not good in the first place. So being a failure, that's not even something that should exist, because when you fail at something, it's something that has value for you. It's something that brings meaning to your life. And there is that wanting to do better and to achieve something. Failing at drinking or not drinking moderately, it's an endless trap of bad things happening because there's no right amount or good amount that is healthy for you. It's a poison. You cannot have a good relationship with it. Let me know if that helps. But yeah, you're not failing. You're not. Snow in Charlotte. Hi, Hugo. Yes, we have. Can you see it? You can kind of see out my windows. It is just a sprinkling. I'm from Michigan. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of pretty. Everyone around here is like, ah! Okay, someone said you need self-confidence. So the killer's behind you. This is something that when you stop drinking, it takes time to build that confidence. When you're always outsourcing your confidence to a liquid, that's not going to show up overnight. And I gave myself a really hard time for this because I thought I should be able to socialize. It shouldn't be a problem. I shouldn't feel this way. But when you're used to relying on something for like a decade or maybe more, you have to build up that skill again. And when you're able to be honest with yourself and say, I feel uncomfortable, that's when true growth can happen. Because until you're putting yourself in a place where you are vulnerable and in many different ways, until you do that, you're not able to grow and have that confidence that you need. Everyone will struggle with something when you stop drinking, because if you are drinking, there is some benefit it's bringing to your life. And once you remove it, you have to find a way to either have that benefit in a healthy way or do something different. So everyone will struggle with something. Stopping drinking, there's no perfect way to do it. No one is perfect. And if you ever feel like you're not doing it right or not doing it good enough, I want to say you're doing your best. And you have to give yourself grace and space, because you're doing something that our society is glamorizing left, right, and center. And just stopping is so effing amazing that I want to like high five you. And it's going to be uncomfortable. And when you allow yourself to embrace it and know that some things will be hard, but you will grow into it. So give yourself that grace and space, and knowing anything that you feel like you're lacking or missing, confidence, maybe adventure, maybe it's the ability to cope, anything you feel like you need, you can give that to yourself and bring that into your life for yourself. But it might just take time. Okay, Snow, Charlotte, you sound like you haven't had a drink in 4 years. I haven't had a drink in almost 4 years. How did you know? I was the first one in the friend group to stop drinking. Yeah, so, geez. A lot of people around. I love this. It's so much more fun when there's comments. So now I'm just talking to myself, and that's just weird. Okay. I feel like I was the first one in my friend group to stop drinking. How did that feel? I was too. And then I started realizing like people around me started to get sober too. I'm like, I started this. No biggie, guys. Sam, I feel like the mental health system is pushing me towards alcoholism. Oh, well, that's not good. It should do the opposite. If you feel like that's the case, I would ask yourself why. Like, what is it that's pressuring you to go towards that? And maybe what you're doing right now is not the best for you. Maybe you should try something different. It's crazy how we defend alcohol, and I don't understand why it's so acceptable. Money. Big alcohol is so vested in us believing the story that you need it, that you have to have it, that it makes life better, that it's the elixir of life. If we were to take away the pretty advertisements or the pretty branding on bottles, if we were to take away all the commercials, all the glamorizing it in TV shows, talking about it in music, if we were to take that away, I truly do not believe our society would be as kind of dependent and fixed on it as it is, because it wouldn't be as prevalent. But when we have so much money driving this industry, it creates the need. The product and the advertising creates the need for us to buy more. And when we're able to take that away, that's when things will change. Think about who here has traveled in Europe. When I was there, my husband and I were in Europe for 3 months starting last March. Absolutely amazing, a dream of mine. When you go into stores and you see cigarette packages, they show what can happen when you smoke. In one of the pictures, it was like an eye open with like needles sticking into the eye. And I'm like, that is disgusting. But people, they look at that. They still buy it, which I think is crazy. Probably there's some vices there that's unhealthy, but they're being truthful about how that actually affects you and the health repercussions that can come from smoking. If our pretty alcohol bottles, our rosé and our shandies, if they had pictures of breast cancer, of colon cancer, if they had aging skin and stuff like that, if they showed the true results of drinking, they showed a DUI, if they showed death, if they showed this, it would change how we see it completely. But the marketing is there to put it as something, show it as something positive. That's what it does. So, we defend alcohol because we live in a society that fuels, that money is fueling that type of society. But if we were to take all that money away, I think things would be different. But yeah, I do think it's crazy. Okay, I'm going to take a screenshot of this question so I can do a post about it. How do you handle the anxiety that presents when one stops drinking? So when you were still drinking, the truth is you were probably still experiencing this anxiety. But when you had a drink, perhaps you felt better. Perhaps you felt like you were able to relieve this anxiety, feel more relaxed. But what alcohol is actually doing is just lowering your awareness of how you're feeling. But it's still there. That anxiety is still there. And now that you're not drinking, you're sober to your emotions, and that anxiety is more present. So what you have to do to handle anxiety when you stop drinking is to address the root cause of that anxiety. And it could be some lifestyle changes that you need to make, but it's also looking at how you can work with your nervous system. So I work with the polyvagal theory with my clients. And when you look at it, there's 3 different stages. When you're feeling anxious, your body is in activation. It's getting stuff done, taking care of responsibilities, and basically showing up as an adult and going through your life and dealing with all the stress and pressure you have on you. At the end of the day, what most people struggle with is they're not able to down-regulate their nervous system towards restoration or regulation, which is feeling calm, which is what you are looking for. So what you need to do is find a way to work with your nervous system to release that anxiety. And this is what I help clients with. I'd recommend starting with breath work. You can check out my book. You can click on my link in my bio and I dive more into this. But breath work is oh shit. No, hold on. I might lose you guys. Hold on. All right, can you guys see me? This is crazy. Okay, I think I saved it. My phone almost died and it was like, Can you guys hear me? I think you can. Okay, let me know. Send me a comment, just be like, yeah, okay, perfect. We're back. The phone was like, we're detecting inactivity, which is crazy, but I plugged you in, so I think we're fine. So what you can do if you feel anxious, breath work is a great way to start because what it helps you to do is to down regulate your nervous system, which is what you want to do to actually address that anxiety. So let me know if that helps. Send me a private message if you'd like to learn more about how I can help you. And again, my book goes over this in more detail. Thank you so much for saying this. You're so welcome. Okay. So, taking some screenshots of some things I want to do content on. I'm such a social butterfly, but took a long time sober to be comfortable. Yeah. When you are doing anything new, it's going to take time. Right? It's going to take time to feel comfortable being sober and socializing. You're going to have to figure out how to show up, how to talk, what to ask people about, or how to have conversations. it's learning just how to show up in these situations. So it will take some time, but you will learn how to show up in those situations and how to enjoy it even more. All right, definitely the best replacement. Grass instead. Switching to grass. We all know what that means. So alcohol is quite literally a toxin to your body. It is. If you're using grass, you're still not addressing the root cause. If you have to have an outside substance to help you feel better, there are healthier ways that you can do it without needing that. Breath work, again, is one of those. So just something to consider. But do what's best for you. Does your husband drink? So my husband, when we were first dating, we're very social drinkers together. We met in college, so of course there's drinking there. When I stopped drinking, his drinking reduced significantly because we weren't going out drinking as much. We were doing things that were more active. We started doing mountain biking, taking huge trips for that, doing big hiking trips. So drinking just wasn't really a part of the equation. And then what he found, like when we'd go out with friends, maybe he'd have one drink. He started to realize that it upset his stomach. He was experiencing acid reflux. He wasn't sleeping well with just one drink. So having that time away from it, just because we were hanging out and because I wasn't drinking, he wasn't, having that time away from it hit it. And when he would have like one or two drinks, it just didn't make him feel good. And he's also in the fitness space, so it doesn't support those goals. So he has cut way back. Maybe he'll have one drink at a wedding, but he's seen that like he just feels better when he doesn't drink. So he just doesn't do it. Okay. Oh gosh, these are funny. Okay, I might say goodbye to you guys. I'm gonna head home. I'm gonna go get some food after my workout, but thank you so much for listening. I hope TikTok sticks around. We're not sure what's happening, so make sure to follow me on Instagram. I'm there as well. I also have a book you can get from my link if you want to learn more about this. But overall, I just want to say, stopping drinking, I know it can feel scary at first, but when you allow yourself to embrace how great life can be and do the hard things, like stopping drinking can feel hard, right? But it's really not. It's more of the mental battle. When you allow yourself to get out of your comfort zone and do the things that will allow you to create your better life, that's when things will change significantly. That's when you'll have the success, the relationships, the health that you've always wanted. But you have to be willing to do what's uncomfortable to get there. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your night. Bye.